Well, the latest is, we signed and contracted to do a rematch, and that's what it is right now.
Do you know when it's going to be, when we can hear?
I don't got no date right now, but I know that's the next fight that Terence Crawford.
How long do you think it will be before we might have some news about that?
I don't know. It's still up in the air, given the first male boxer, undisputed, in any division in the 4-belt era. And I honor, that. And if he was to come to me or activate his...
it could happen. Why not? If Crawford want to challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great, So, I'm with it. So, I'll be going for Bud, if he fight Canelo, I'll be going for him.
The sport has fallen into chaos again. When it seemed that Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. had fully moved on, talks of a rematch have returned in April 2025. This time, it is not gossip. Both fighters are discussing it privately, and the situation is heating up fast as Crawford questions Spence's standing in the sport. Here is what you need to know.
I wanted to see that immediately after that fight, but now time has kind of ran its course. I don't want to see Errol. I just don't want to see Errol get done like that again. That's all. And I believe Errol Spence is a generational talent, great fighter.
Crawford and Spence have never stayed quiet, and now that the discussions are getting serious, they are speaking about each other more than ever in interviews online and even during a heated live moment. After his crushing loss to Crawford in 2023, Spence stepped away from the spotlight, but now he is more motivated than before. He is pushing hard for a rematch because he believes the first fight did not show his true ability and that fighting at 147 pounds drained him. Crawford keeps reminding everyone what happened last time, pointing out that he dropped Spence 3 times and dominated the fight from start to finish. Spence refuses to accept that version and remains confident that once he fights at 150 pounds, the outcome will be very different.
My first,
because I don't want to personally. We talking about what we want to see. I don't want to see it because I know what it's going to look like. The same as it looked last time.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Errol Spence wasn't the same.
What was wrong with him?
He looked slow. He looked he looked sluggish.
Why?
I can't tell you. I wasn't in camp.
At the division, he dominated for his entire career. All of a sudden, when it came time for this fight, he looked different. Why?
I wasn't in camp with him. I can't tell you. I don't know if his body finally broke down from being at 147 for too long.
After Spence activated the rematch clause following his heavy loss to Crawford in July 2023, the idea of a second fight has been a non-stop emotional ride. Spence quickly pushed for another chance, showing he was set on fixing the result, but the deal was very clear. If neither fighter sent written proof that making 147 pounds was impossible, then the rematch had to stay at welterweight. Spence never officially submitted that notice, yet he and his team kept saying the fight should move up to 154. Crawford shut that down right away. After dominating Spence so completely, he saw no reason to agree to terms that would favor his rival. That disagreement is where the real conflict began.
But weight can be used as an excuse and sort of say, I don't feel like it. Like, I'll go up to for this guy, but not another guy. So, that's sort of the spirit. The language is very, more precise and very definitive. But the concept is, out of fairness, is, let's not be selective.
Then Spence faced serious health issues that brought everything to a halt. Surgery recovery and questions about whether he could return at the same level created long delays. While Spence worked through those problems, Crawford moved on and captured another title at 150 pounds by defeating Israel Madrimov, and that seemed to end all rematch talk. When reporters asked Crawford about fighting Spence again, he showed little interest and brushed it off. He said no and made it clear he was not focused on that idea. At that moment, the rivalry appeared to be finished for good.
I want your reaction. Is a Errol Spence rematch on the table still, or nah?
All right, we're gonna wrap that. I'm trying to tell you.
Now the situation is shifting quickly. Crawford is no longer closing the door on the idea, while Spence is turning up the pressure and calling him out whenever he can. Many fans believe Spence has earned another chance and argue that the weight cut hurt him and that the version seen that night was not the real Spence. Others disagree and say those claims are just excuses and that he was clearly outmatched and that a rematch would end the same way no matter which weight class the fight takes place in.
That the fight would have went that way regardless, because stylistically, the fundamentals on that level, Crawford is just outclasses Errol Spence in every single category.
Spence is now taking things in a very personal direction. He is openly claiming that Crawford is avoiding him trying to escape the contract and pretending the fight never mattered just because he won the first time. Crawford is not letting that story stand. He responds by saying Spence already had his opportunity, that the fight was completely one-sided, and that Spence did not look like he was on the same level or even belonged in the ring with him.
47, but I'm sure he probably gonna push the weight up, but there's no gonna be no change in the decision. The performance still is gonna be the same. Might be even a little bit better. So he might want to watch out before he activate the rematch clause.
Right now, both sides are making it clear they are ready for another battle. Spence remains confident despite everything that has happened. He says Crawford has never faced him at his best, that he was not himself in the first fight, and that he plans to prove everyone wrong. Crawford reacts very differently and almost laughs at the idea that anything would change. He believes Spence has always been overrated, that his style is easy to read, and that if they fought again he would finish him even quicker. The trash talk keeps getting stronger every day. With both fighters now admitting that real discussions are happening, this matchup is starting to feel more real than ever.
Let's go! As you can see, man, breaking news. Errol Spence then activated that rematch clause to fight Terence again, right? Let's be honest, we all saw the fight. Crawford beat boogers out that boy.
This ongoing trash talk is already causing tension across the sport. Terence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson have always shared a strong connection built on trust, guidance, and similar ambitions, but now their opinions on Errol Spence Jr. legacy are pulling them in different directions. Crawford, who never hides how he feels, sparked major backlash by flat-out rejecting Spence as a future Hall of Fame fighter. Stevenson, one of boxing's top rising stars, strongly disagrees and is pushing back hard. Their split has fueled intense arguments among fans, experts, and even other fighters as everyone debates what truly defines a Hall of Fame career.
And I'm still a fan. I hope he do well. But like, once it got to the point where I moved up in weight and I'm in the same weight as Spence, it's just like, oh man, you ain't fighting nobody. You this, you that, you this, you that. So now they trying to blemish my accomplishment just to boost him up. I'm like, dude, you're not going to do that, because I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him. I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he didn't got. Right?
Crawford sparked this debate during an appearance on the Pound for Pound podcast with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo. When the discussion turned to Spence's legacy, he did not hesitate to share his view. In his eyes, Spence does not qualify. His main reason was simple: Spence competed in only one weight class. Crawford did acknowledge what Spence achieved by unifying 3 welterweight belts and beating elite names like Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and Yedenis Ugas, but he stayed firm that it still fell short. To Crawford, a true Hall of Famer proves greatness across multiple divisions, builds a resume that cannot be questioned, and shows dominance beyond just one weight class.
It's on your resume. It starts to make people look at your resume with a question mark. Terence Bud Crawford.
That statement grabbed the attention of the entire boxing world. Crawford wasn't just criticizing Spence's career, he was closing the door on any debate about his place in boxing history. That sparked a strong reaction, with fans and experts calling him out for downplaying Spence's achievements. Some saw it as disrespect, while others felt Crawford was simply being honest. The biggest pushback didn't come from analysts or former fighters, though. It came from Shakur Stevenson, one of Crawford's closest friends. In an interview with Best Women's Boxing Show, Stevenson quickly disagreed. He said Errol had a fantastic career and that without Crawford he would have been undisputed. Stevenson praised Spence for winning every belt step by step and insisted he deserves Hall of Fame recognition. His words offered a clear counterpoint to Crawford's view, highlighting Spence's dominance before their fight and what might have been without Crawford in the way.
Went on Pound for Pound podcast and he said that Errol Spence will not be a Hall of Famer. Can you just give me your thoughts on that?
I disagree.
You disagree? Why do you disagree?
I feel as though Errol had a great career. If it wasn't for Bud, he would have been undisputed. So he went and got every belt one by one by one. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Stevenson's position highlights a key debate in boxing's Hall of Fame discussions. Does greatness come from success across multiple divisions, or can a fighter secure their legacy by dominating just one? Stevenson believes Spence's control of the 147-pound division proves his case. Crawford disagrees, insisting that even as a unified champion in one weight class, Spence's achievements are not enough to guarantee a place among the sport's immortals.
Errol's run was long enough, no Diddy, to automatically put him in the Hall of Fame. He was a very good fighter. If there was a Hall of Very Good, he would be going into that. But Hall of Fame, no. If you were in charge of writing the Hall of Fame speech for Errol Spence, and I was in charge of writing a Hall of Fame speech for Bud Crawford, my Hall of Fame speech listing my credentials, listing my accolades for Bud Crawford would sound a lot better than your speech for Errol Spence, bro. Yeah, I don't think unifying and holding 3 titles automatically push you in the Hall of Fame.
The tension between Crawford and Stevenson may not be a complete breakup, but it's definitely making waves. Their friendship has always been based on respect, yet this is one of the rare moments they've openly disagreed on a major issue. Stevenson isn't just any fighter offering an opinion. He's someone who has trained with Crawford, learned from him, and looked up to him for years. For him to challenge Crawford so directly speaks volumes and raises questions about how this disagreement could affect their relationship over time.
He gave me that opportunity to fight him. It's only right that if that's what he want to do, I'll give it back to him. Outside of him, I was definitely looking for that Jamel Charlo fight, but they just stripped him for the WBO. So now it's going to be kind of hard, becoming a 3-weight world champion if he don't come back and, fight Tim Tszyu and be successful after his fight with Canelo.
Adding more heat to the debate, Hall of Fame discussions are always political, and Spence's situation is already dividing boxing insiders. Some argue that his comeback from a life-threatening car crash and continued title defenses make his record even more deserving of Hall of Fame recognition. Others warn that Crawford is creating a risky precedent by dismissing champions who succeed in a single division, since many boxing legends built their entire legacies that way.
Crawford is a hell of a fighter, but I don't really respect his resume. What? Other than fighting you. Crawford? You know what I'm saying? I don't really respect his resume like that.
There's another layer to the debate: Crawford's history with Spence. Some believe his comments go beyond Hall of Fame standards and are personal, aimed at minimizing Spence's legacy because of their rivalry. They argue Crawford wants history to remember him as the superior fighter. If Spence enters the Hall of Fame, it would mean acknowledging that he was still an all-time great, even if Crawford defeated him, and Crawford may not be ready to accept that.
Of YouTube, let me make a plea right now to Terence Crawford. I understand you just beat him. You beat him thoroughly. You're the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, the WBO, the WBA, the WBC, the IBF titles, but you hugged him after the fight for a reason. I am making a plea to Terence Crawford. Even if you elect to give Errol Spence Jr. a rematch, please do not do this for at least a year. Please don't do that.
Meanwhile, Spence has not publicly responded to Crawford's remarks, but it's clear he's not pleased. He has always been proud of his achievements in boxing, and being dismissed so easily by Crawford only fuels his competitive drive. Rumors suggest Spence may use this as extra motivation for a possible rematch, determined to prove that he is not just a great fighter but an all-time great deserving of the Hall of Fame, no matter what Crawford says.
Errol can't take, I think he's the bigger, stronger fighter, but Errol methodically marches down and breaks you down. I don't know if that can be done to Crawford. I think that Crawford is a marvelous boxer. I think he's got the temperament of a champion that really wants to do damage and be spectacular. He can fight conventional. He can go southpaw. He brought the power with him. And I think the biggest thing is that Errol Spence might have gave him a little bit too much time.
The debate shows no signs of slowing down. Fans, fighters, and analysts are all picking sides. Is Crawford speaking the truth, or is his rivalry with Spence affecting his judgment? Is Stevenson right to defend Spence, or is he just being careful? Everyone in boxing is watching closely. One thing is clear: this is about more than a Hall of Fame spot. It's about legacy, pride, and earning respect in one of the toughest sports in the world. But if anyone's Hall of Fame credentials should be questioned, it's not Errol Spence Jr., it's Terence Crawford. Forget the smoke, mirrors, and polished legacy claims. Crawford isn't chasing history, he's chasing money. That's why fans, fighters, and critics are starting to question if he truly deserves a place in boxing's Hall of Fame.
I think about resumes, and especially when it comes to these two fighters specifically, because they got a lot of the common opponents.
Yes.
But the day that they fought these opponents is what's uncommon. And so you can pick who you want to pick, and I fought him, and he had I broke both eyes, and then you fought all this and that. Bottom line is, a lot of fighters aren't who they are on Tuesday. They're not that same fighter on Saturday.
You are absolutely
That's the bottom line.
Crawford's own trainer Brian "Bull" McIntyre is out there pushing the same old story, trying to make it seem like the Canelo-Alvarez fight isn't about money. But who are they really fooling? Crawford is moving up divisions to face boxing's biggest cash prize, not because it's the smartest move for his career, but because the Saudi payday is too tempting to pass up. If his legacy truly mattered, he wouldn't be taking this risky jump. He'd be solidifying his dominance at 150 pounds, proving himself against the top fighters in that division, maybe even unifying again. Instead, he barely managed to get past Israel Madrimov, and right after the fight it was clear Crawford wasn't going to dominate 150 like he did at 147.
Because this is the legacy fight. He wants this for his legacy. Now, if you ask me, I think Terence Crawford's taking it to the stupid. He's not going up there for no damn legacy fight. You know what? He's going after Canelo for the reason that he said after he fought Madrimov and after he fought Errol Spence. He wants the most money possible. Simple. He's not trying to move down the ladder and shift into reverse.
The younger, hungrier fighters were ready, and instead of facing them head-on, Crawford chose the easy way out, the biggest payday boxing could offer. And let's look at the Madrimov fight for a moment. Fans saw the truth. It wasn't the dominant performance Crawford showed against Spence. It wasn't a highlight reel masterclass. It was a tough battle, a fight that could have gone either way. And that was against a fighter who, while skilled, isn't the top of the division. If Crawford struggled there, what business does he have jumping to 168 pounds against a seasoned champion like Canelo?
Old videos are starting to surface of Terence Bud Crawford saying he'd never go over 154 pounds, and weight classes are there for a reason. And so a lot of people are questioning, why is he willing to move up to 168 for Canelo all of a sudden? He's going against his own word. It's a money grab. It's duh, bro.
But here's the problem. Crawford doesn't care about climbing the weight classes the right way. He isn't focused on taking on the toughest fighters in each division. He's chasing the biggest names, the biggest fights, and the biggest paydays. When the Canelo fight ends, does anyone think he'll stay at super middleweight? Of course not. He'll take the money, likely take the loss, and then move on to his next plan. That's not a Hall of Fame mindset, it's a cash grab. And this isn't new. People have long questioned his 147-pound resume, asking why he didn't fight the top opponent sooner, or why he stayed under the radar while the biggest fights were happening elsewhere. Now, when he finally had a chance at 150 pounds, he didn't stick around to achieve anything meaningful. And yet this is the same Crawford who says Spence isn't Hall of Fame material because he only dominated one division, even though Spence beat the best at 147, unified titles the hard way, and remained undefeated until facing Crawford. Meanwhile, Crawford cleared an average welterweight division, barely held his own at 150, and is now skipping the real challenges at 160 and 168 just to cash in against Canelo.
Said weight classes for a reason, but then Bud and his team heard the TBV show. Then it's like, yo, you know what? Bud, we could throw the towel in. We gonna shimmy all the way to the bank. We gonna drop this 9 figures in the bank. We got you. Do we believe we could beat them? Yeah. What other opportunity in life are you gonna get to make 100 and something million?
And yet, he has the nerve to question Spence's reputation. Many see it as not just unfair, but downright laughable. Hall of Famers don't run from challenges. They don't pick fights just for money. They face the toughest opponents and build a legacy that speaks for itself. Floyd Mayweather didn't chase cash alone. He dominated multiple divisions and fought everyone who mattered at the right time. Manny Pacquiao didn't just go after big names. He worked his way through each division against real competition. Crawford, on the other hand, is skipping steps and looking for shortcuts. Sure, if he beats Canelo, people will call him one of the greats. But if he loses, and realistically, the odds aren't in his favor, it only proves the point. He took this fight for the money, not for his career. That's why when discussing Hall of Fame legacies, Crawford's record deserves scrutiny. Spence did it the right way, climbing to the top belt by belt without cutting corners. Crawford is playing a different game. For him, it's not about belts, divisions, or even legacy. It's about cashing out while he still can.
For Crawford to call you out at 68, say that he can beat you at this weight?
No, you know, everybody wants to fight with me, so it's fine.
And maybe that's okay. Maybe Crawford deserves to get paid. He spent years working hard and built an undefeated record, and now he wants to make the most of it. But let's be honest, this is about money, plain and simple. And let's not act like chasing paydays automatically earns a Hall of Fame spot, because if anyone's place should be questioned, it's not Spence, it's Crawford. What do you think about the whole saga? Share your thoughts below and be sure to subscribe for more updates.